In this video, we're going to cover squaring up the trophy baste. I'd already cut this out on a bandsaw. You can see it has really rough sides right now. First thing we want to do is remove all the sharp edges. So take your file and just go over the edges, take off all the sharp pieces there, both sides. And then I like to also take the file and run it sideways like this. That gets off any bumps or anything that might be there. I'm also doing it on this one side that was already smooth. This is where the material, this is original material face basically. We'll get all those sides. Alright, so now next thing we're going to do is I'm going to put a device, put it down, and I'm going to take a cut across here. I'm going to pull it out and measure it, and then I'm going to set my Z-axis so I can take out the amount of material I need to get it to size. We're going to take it to 2 inches. So make sure that the vise is clean, there's nothing in it. Wipe it down. Make sure there's no debris in there anywhere. Get it down, vise handle. Make sure it's all the way down and tighten it. Now I'm going to put in a 3/4 inch end mill along with the collet. Mill is locked down, and I'm going to go in. Okay, so now it's in place. Unlock my quill. I like to use this little quill stop here. So I'll put this up here to set my Z height. Well, it's not really setting it, it's just giving it a good stop right there. I'm going to be setting it with down here with the knee crank. First, I'm going to turn it on, move it into position. Now I'm going to move the table up, or the knee up. There, it's just starting to take a cut there. I'm going to set my Z-axis here. To set the Z-axis dial, all you have to do is loosen the knurled nut here, and this numbered wheel here, it's allowed to spin freely. So all I have to do is rotate it to my 0 position and then tighten this knurled knob back down again, and now it's set on 0. Take a cut. Turn off the machine, raise the quill, and then get rid of all the chips in here. Then what I'm going to do is take it out. I'm going to measure this height. So right now we have about 71 thousandths to go. Since this side here I just cut with an end mill, it's nice and clean, and this side looks a little bit dull from the manufacturer's surface, I'm going to go ahead and just deburr this side that I just cut. I'm going to flip it around in the vise and cut the extra material off the other side. Alright, lay it back down in the vise. Right now I have 71 thousandths more to go. I'm going to take off 61, and then I'll take off a final pass of 10 thou after that. I'm going to start cutting from this side and working my way there so the chips go in the back and they're not coming out towards you or towards some other students. Moving it up, bring the quill back down to the stop, and then moving to my 71 thousandths position. I'm going to put a little bit of cutting fluid on the surface here just to improve my finish a little bit. Run it all the way across. I'm going to go move it back up, turn off the spindle, and get rid of the chips. All right, so let's double check. We should be at 2 inches. We're half a thousandths over. So I'm going to go ahead and deburr this side again. All right, so now these two sides are parallel, machine to size. Now I need to make this side perpendicular to this and then bring this to length. So to do that, first thing I do is open up the vise enough to be able to put this part in there and use some parallels. Okay, so that fits in. I'm going to use these parallels to hold the part up off the base of the vise. So I'm going to lay it in place here. Lay it off the edge a little bit. Go ahead and hold it down and tighten it. We don't need to knock this down with the soft face hammer for this operation. Because it's soft just a little bit, it's not going to really influence the dimensions. We have a pretty wide open tolerance on this. It's plus or minus 10 thou. Move off to the side. Move the end mill down. Now I'm going to cut it with the side of the end mill. I'll turn it back on. I'm going to run this about 1200 RPMs through this operation. I was running about 1500 RPMs for the last operation. So I moved it in until I took a little cut there. I'm going to go and put a little bit of lubricant on here. And just move it nice and slow. If you go real fast, you're going to get a really rough surface. But you don't want to go super slow either, so just run it at about the kind of speed you see here. Alright, turn that spindle off, raise the wheel. We'll get our chips out of the way. So this whole side here is nice and smooth now. I'm going to take it back out of the vise. Nice and smooth. I'm going to go ahead and deburr it again. Always deburr between these operations so you don't wind up with your part in there crooked. If you clamp on a burr, it will make it part crooked. Alright, so now we have two parallel sides and a square side of that. I'm going to come over here and clean this up, measure it to figure out how much more I take off and then bring it to size. Put it back in, tighten it down. Back into position. All right, come over to touch part. I'm going to cut into the part a little bit. Now I'm going to zero the digital readout. Put a little bit of lubricant. And we'll go ahead and cut across. We'll take a measurement. All right. So we have a nice smooth face here. I'm going to take my calipers and measure the part. Okay, we have 78 thousandths more to go. I'm going to go ahead and take 68 thou, and I'm going to take a finer cut of 10 thou, make it back in for here. I'm starting from this side and cutting this way so it's conventional milling. Normally on a conventional mill you don't want to climb cut unless you have some resistance in the gifts, because it may will run away from you. So there's my 68 thousandths pass here. If you're having a hard time cutting and you see a burr forming or something, that end mill is dull. You want to go ahead and change it out for a nice and sharp one. It should cut this nicely. Back over here. I'm going to move it to my final cut, 78 thousandths. Lubricate one more time. Take another cut. Alright, so it's crossed. Turn this off. I'm going just to wipe off the surface a little bit so it's nice and clean when I measure it. Double check our measurement. And it's at right at 3 inches right now. So all we have to do now is take it out and deburr it, and we go on to the next step.